And, as requested, my BLimp. First off, I would like to show the mechanics behind it, because it really was quite a feat of game inventing, I personally believe. Alright. We'll start with what makes it fly. These default balloons, by default, they're only supposed to lift 2,000. Notice them spinning all out of control. That's because I have them overclocked. This one's set for 12,000, that one over there for 5,000. There's like 4 of those to each one of these 4 pillars, plus 2 25,000s in the center. When we take off, to lift off, these 2 weight tanks here will be blown by this dynamite, which is connected to that dynamite, which will blow the extra weight, allowing us to take off. I don't want to get to... I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, of course, but I think I measured it perfectly, so the lots of those will just barely lift off. Nice and pretty. Now, the body up there is obviously supposed to be the BLimp. This tube thing, I thought it would, my wire works, so it's nice to suspend the gondola from. And the gondola, I actually love the fact that I did this here. It can retract or extend. Now this is very necessary, because before, I actually didn't have these landing struts here. So without those, when this thing lands, look what's fixing to land on top of you. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, so I'm going to mention it again. When it's time to come down, you pop these, it pops the balloons, and if I balanced it properly, it will all work in the end. Every bit of it. First step, make sure none of this is tied down to anything. Right, none of it's anchored, it's just there on its own power. Lower the seat. I know it looks dangerous. Alright, blow the ballast. And we're flying. Very rarely does anything work that well for me. It's nice when it actually works the way you design it. And of course, since this thing is unlimited length, I could actually just ride it to the ground if I wanted to. But I think that would take away from my victory moment here. Alright, now let's watch the mechanics of how it lands, because it's airborne. What else can we do? Alright. Sorry about the camera tilting there. There's our extra ballast. There's our extra lift. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Houston, we have a problem. Alright, well, it popped. And now we're inbound for landing. Just enough lift where we'll float down all nice and soft. Plus, if it's too much of a shock, this thing will swing to and fro, natural shock absorber there. And it does bounce a couple times, but it's a BLimp, it's going to do that. But all in all, perfect landing, ready to be reused again. And that is a marvel of inventing. Next, I upgrade it so I can have control of it. And of course, something I forgot to point out earlier, the most important part of this ship, the only reason I'll survive, right there. Alright, here's my ship with her modifications. Same launch and recovery system as before. Thrusters in all corners for control. And propeller on front. Of course, lined with cameras so we can catch every glorious moment. I'm gonna kill myself if I do that enough. Going up. Going up. And we're completely free floating at this point. Alright. Going up. And that works. I love it when something works. Propeller. Thrusters. Very wide turns, but it's as it should be. Thrusters are functioning. Actually, they're not. There we go. These turns aren't so wide now. Same, get touchdown right on the middle there. Going down. I'm not gonna make it. Plan on surviving this. Raise the ramp. Not that high. But whether I made it or not, as far as unconventional vehicles goes, in my book this is a 1. Or a 10. Whatever. As you guys are well aware, I'm not one to leave it alone when I get it to work, so I gotta find a better way to mess it up. Yet another flight attempt. You'll note the difference in launching techniques on this one. There's a reason for that. I can very well have high explosives on this one. Because if this goes according to plan... That's right. Bomber. And I see some blast craters, meaning it worked. I love it when things work for a change. I really do. It happens so rarely. I love safety devices.